about pets. We're all about fun. We have the nicest people. Our deals are number one. You'll love Dave's, Dave's Soda and Pet City. We make shopping for your pet fun, 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 fun.
We're filming. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Dave's Pet Show. So I got to tell you that Sandy, you probably all are wondering, where has Sandy been? I talked to Sandy. She was supposed to be here to film. She's got all kinds. She's got wicked back issues. So
yeah.
she's like retired, but she wanted to come in to film the show. But something happened with Frank. He had to go in. So her husband, who has a lot of nerve, ruining the show. So I'm
Shame
filling
on
in
him.
with the B team.
Thanks. How are you?
Over here, and
Yeah.
right. So
Talking
I know
about
the
our
quality
gerbils.
of the show won't be as good as it
yeah,
would be
yeah,
if Sandy was here. But
She's great Halloween fodder, but we got
yes.
Christmas. So.
But before we do the gerbils,
Uh-huh.
we got a brilliant idea since it's coming up to Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
If you buy a gift card to Dave's over $50, right, which is a great gift,
Get a lot of stuff.
we will donate 10% of that $50 to either TJ's or Dakin. So what a great way to give someone a gift, along with knowing
another
that,
gift,
knowing that 10% of that goes to Dakin or TJ's. So if ever they needed money, they do, and so it's a perfect way to it's a win-win for you, the person you're giving it to, and for Dakin or TJ.
Sure.
So
Excellent.
we're doing this. All the stores have them. We're doing it for the whole month of December, and it's a great Christmas present. So that being said, Matt, I walked in this morning, and so how the show usually works is, at about 9 o'clock, I'm just about getting up. You know, the servants have brought me my coffee and
Danish
stuff,
on a
right? And
tray.
then on Tuesdays it hits me.
Time to film.
Oh my good, we're filming. So I have to, fly all the way down here, and I have to wake up my chauffeur. And by the time I get here and everything, so sometimes a little bit
Fire up
late.
the
But
rolls.
I walk in
you
and
go.
say to Matt, "What are we going to talk about?" And Matt was all excited this morning because gerbils.
Gerbils. Okay,
And of
these-
course, Matt says, I used to raise them when I was a kid.
Let me tell you my gerbil story. Okay, this is a good one.
Do I want to hear this?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay.
Okay, hang in there.
Right.
When I was about 8 years old, way back when, right about the time I got into fish,
Yep.
I was into animals and things like that. I house sat for a neighbor, and they had a bunch of gerbils. I thought they were the best thing since sliced bread. I had a blast taking care of them.
Yeah.
So for a thank you for taking care of the gerbils, the family asked my parents if they could present me with one of their gerbils' offspring. So
Yes.
I got my first real. We had the family
I'll hold
dog
it,
and the
'cause you're
fish,
gonna
but
shake 'em up, like-
shaking that. I got my first real take care of pet. So I
Yeah,
had this.
when you were 8.
Yep, had this wonderful gerbil named Daisy. She was a sweetheart girl. A couple weeks later, it was my birthday, and so my dad got Danny, who was a different color gerbil for my birthday. Me having quite learned how things work, put them together. So of course you know what happens. I
Right.
ended up with quite a few different
Gerbilettes.
Gerbilettes. So
Yes.
we learned the fine art of bartering with the local pet shop. I took back every baby
I'm
except
trying
one.
to think, who was even the local pet shop back
That was
then?
back in Connecticut, and it was Emmons or Exotic
Emmons,
Feather.
oh
way
yeah,
back
of course,
when.
sure.
Yep, this is down in
Right,
Connecticut.
yeah.
But we took all of the babies back except for one. I kept that one and traded in the babies, and they gave me a male of a different color. So my father was actually teaching me genetics on how to cross all the different colors and get different things. So for the next quite a few years, I had different color gerbils that I was constantly trading
Right, and trading in and
trading
selling back to the
and
pet store.
actually going to school. Another
Yep.
thing for educational thing for all these animals, bring them to school and science
Yep.
fairs and how the genetics works, how the
Yep.
different dominant recessive genes. So it
Yep.
was a lot of fun. Top it all off, they're great pets. These guys, we'll get into the pet end of it. They actually are very social, so you can keep them singly, or you can keep them in a small group.
A commune.
Commune, yep. They are actually, And believe it or not, they are one of the more
Can
gentle.
you neuter them?
Not really. I don't think anyone's really done it, but I've
No?
never tried. No. Might be, the cost effective there. Yeah.
Checking.
Yeah. But they are actually one of the more tamer, more friendly rodents.
So what's the difference between a gerbil and a hamster?
Well, if you look, this guy has a tail.
Yes.
Nice long tail, and this guy looks a little more. He looks a little more of like a
Squirrelish.
squirrelish. And hamsters tend to be a little more nocturnal. These are more daytime. They're more out in the daytime, so it's a nicer.
They're
sleeping
also
pet.
they're also like friendlier, right? Hamsters.
I found them to be a bit more friendly, at least from the ones that I've always raised. My
Yeah.
brother had hamsters, I had the gerbils, and we
Yeah.
were always competing who had the better pet. His always bit him, mine were always friendly, so I was actually
Did
quite...
you have like hamster gerbil fights?
We had hamster gerbil races on the Hot Wheels tracks. We had the two
Remember
tracks,
those?
and we let
The
and they
Pemplax things?
they would just
Yeah.
run perfectly straight down the track. They wouldn't jump off. The gerbils always won, which is the other thing right here. These guys are actually very quick. They're actually fast runners. So the more you handle them, the tamer and more social they'll become. Just make sure you always have a lid on the tank because they take off. They do, of course, like to chew. This is a basic setup for them. They, as with any rodents, their teeth always grow. So you want to have something that keep their teeth worn down, a wood block or a wood house.
wood blocks, plenty of wood.
Plenty of wood for them to chew on.
Yeah.
They are fast and active, so an exercise wheel is a must. This is a nice one right here because it's easy to jump in and off.
Yeah,
There's
and it
no,
doesn't make any noise.
Doesn't
Remember
make
the old ones? Oh,
yeah, they
man.
rattled like the ones I had.
Yeah.
And the other thing you want to be careful, some of the ones that have the metal spar across,
Yes.
with the gerbil, if they're
Tail.
jumping on up, that can actually cut their tail off. So you want to be careful with that. So an open-faced wheel is ideal for these guys. Nesting material, because they do like to actually make a pretty decent-sized nest.
Yeah.
So stuff that they can fluff up, keeps them warm.
Yep.
A good grade food.
Yep,
Oxbow
Oxbow.
makes a great food for them.
I'll hold it.
Makes a great food for them. And of course, plenty of water. These guys don't drink quite, this is the other nicer thing, they're cleaner. They are more of a desert, indigenous to the desert. So they don't quite drink as much water as, say, a hamster. So they're a little bit
Really?
cleaner in the cage. Yes, they're a bit cleaner in the cage. So it's actually, and these,
So I noticed we have very colorful bedding in here.
this is the Carefresh bedding. This is
Yep.
actually a very good for any rodent. This is actually one, it's very compact.
Yep.
So you can actually do a lot of cage cleaning with this one right here. You just have
Can
to
you
take
do
a
the
small,
pink one even if you have a boy?
yeah, whatever. Yeah, sure. Why not?
'Cause we have blue too, right?
We've got blue, we've got
Got
pink, we have
rainbow,
all
all
different
different
colors.
colors.
Sure, you can use any of these. One thing with the
Excuse me.
white one, there is white one, but the only thing with the white one is it shows off any dropping, which is good
Yeah.
for kids because they see it and they can spot clean it. They
Right.
can actually go in and
Because I'm sure most kids are the ones who are cleaning it.
right, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So when mom and dad is
Yeah.
in there helping out. But basically a nice small layer. It expands, so it absorbs a lot of the moisture, keeps the odor down too. Plus,
Yep.
a lot of these are recycled too. So
Okay.
it's actually a very good bedding, and it also helps
Yep.
keep them warm. 10-gallon tank is excellent for these guys. Again, this is a good little kit for babies or for small hamsters. But I would always prefer these guys to go in a 10-gallon, just because they
There's
can jump.
no chance of them getting out.
Yeah,
As long as you have a cover.
As long as you have a cover, they're
zero
not going to be
chance.
getting out of this
You
cage
never
here.
know with these.
Right. These guys are fun. They're great for the slower hamsters.
So hamsters are slower?
Hamsters are a bit slower. They tend to be a little more waddly when they run.
So what
Gerbils
would
are-
happen, all kidding aside, could you put a gerbil in, a big, let's say you had a 20-gallon with a guinea pig or no?
Would not recommend that because that would most likely end up with a battle. Just because one, hamsters are territorial, gerbils are communal. Hamsters also quicker and a little bit
So
more
I mean,
muscular.
how about a gerbil with a guinea pig?
Gerbil, I've never really been a fan of doing that.
Okay.
Just pretty much keep them in their own
Okay.
species. Some people have kept rabbits, small rabbits with guinea pigs.
Yep.
But just because the gerbil is much quicker,
Yep.
just wouldn't recommend it. Just wouldn't recommend it.
It
Keep
won't
them
get any
separately.
bigger than this, right?
That's about full size. So they are
And how long do they live?
5 to 6 years.
They do?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
I've kept them
I
quite
thought
long.
hamsters only live like 2 years.
2 or 3 years, but honestly, we kept ours. Average lifespan that we had was up to 5 years. So
Wow.
we did quite well. They are very robust. They are very hardy.
Yeah, I should say.
Okay,
And what
and-
happens if something happens to their tail? Is it like a lizard?
This is another thing I was telling him before. Like I said with the wheel, this is an animal. Rats and mice you can pick up by the tail. Never pick up a gerbil by the tail because the tail will break away. It's an escape
That's theirs,
mechanism.
yeah.
That's their escape. So and it can actually really hurt him. So never grab him by the tail. When you pick
Okay.
them up, just gently go in and scoop, just like anything,
Will they
and pull
bite? Do
them
they
up.
bite?
Well, when they're babies, they might be nibble. The more you socialize them, the tamer
Yeah.
they become. But as a rule, they are
And they come in
generally
different
very.
colors.
They come in different colors. That was the one thing when I was raising when I was little.
We have a little paint shop in the back.
Yeah, we just
if you
airbrush.
don't have the color you want.
We
just-
practice the airbrush. We just
Yeah.
want. But you have the cinnamon color. This
Yep.
is a cinnamon right here. There's
Yep.
actually a piebald, which is a multicolor.
Yeah.
There is the traditional brown, and then there's
Yep.
black. So you have all, and there's actually blue ones as well. So there's all different colors of
So-
these guys.
Is it easy to tell the sex on these ones?
Pretty much,
is.
it's just a
Yeah, you just
different.
take it-
Yeah,
okay.
just flip them over and take a look. But
Right.
for the most part, it is honestly. A lot of people overlook these guys. This is one of the nicer rodents you can get. Easy to
It's
take
these
care of.
guys and guinea pigs, right?
Yep, and they're fun, and these are a blast
rats,
to take care
of
of.
course.
Right, and these guys are a blast to take care of. Fun to watch, entertaining. You can just sit there and stare them bounce around in the cage. Great little pet. I would highly
Cool.
recommend.
All right. Don't go away, folks. We'll be back in just a moment. So, folks, as you know, Matthew and I are huge proponents of live animals for kids. You know, we really, it would be great if kids spent less time on computers and video games and more times with real animals. I don't care if it's hermit crabs or
Fish,
aquariums or
anything, yeah.
gerbils or hamsters, whatever. It's interesting that folks our age and even everyone's got dogs and cats. We forget how the whole thing gets started, and when certainly when I was a kid, everybody had aquariums. When Matt was
He was a kid, everyone. Small pets, pocket pets.
right? When we first opened up in business, we had a line of kids wanting to work here because they were all aquarium experts. Right? And if you didn't have 47 tanks of guppies in your basement, right? And this wasn't for the nerds, or this was everybody.
This is when I was back in.
Right.
This is in the late 70s, early 80s when I was
Yeah.
younger.
Yeah.
We used to even the
Everybody.
cool kids would
Yeah.
breed fish, and we'd swap them.
they'd sell. That's what we would. That's where we would get all our fish. So
2 guppies for a fantail goldfish. We'd be doing stuff like like that.
So, you know, it's really great to encourage your kids to get an aquarium, to get a gerbil, whatever. And so one of the beauties of the aquarium hobby is it's so much easier than when we were kids, right? So I'll let Matt go into, you know, how everything is packaged and what we have and what's
What we
great
have.
for beginners.
Okay, well, we are going to start with probably the best beginner tank right here. It is the 20-gallon high tank.
Yep.
This is a perfect tank because it's not too big. At the same time, it's not too small. Thing with people set up aquariums is they want to see a lot of fish in
Yes.
there. So bigger tanks tend to be more forgiving. But at the same time, they might not have the money to buy a big 90-gallon tank.
Yep.
This is a perfect tank that you can get for $74.99.
Is it really?
Yep,
That's it?
$74.99. This actually has, it's a power price tank, so
Yep.
it's $74.99. This one actually has everything you need. It has your filter, and these are, you might see some of these kits in the big box discounters.
Yep.
There's a difference, and I've said this before on the show. These are hobby quality, meaning that they give you the right size filter,
Yep.
a good lifetime guarantee filter that's going to move the water rather than blow air into it.
Yep.
You're also getting a full lifetime guaranteed thermostat controlled heater. Some of the old heaters, I remember.
Lifetime guarantee?
Lifetime guarantee, filter and heaters. So if the
Okay.
filter and heaters ever break or something happens,
Yep.
they're replaced. You get them replaced. So you don't have to worry about your heavy equipment on this. Everything is taken care
Everything's
of.
done.
These heaters are excellent because in the olden days, you used to have to fiddle
Yeah.
with the knob and get the
Yeah,
red
yeah.
light to bounce it.
Yeah.
This one is just a thermostat. You set it, you want it at 80 degrees, you set it to 80 degrees, plug
That's
it
it,
in,
you're
and go,
done.
and you're good. If it goes above 80 degrees, the
are
heater
these
turns off.
are these submersible? Or?
Fully submersible.
Which
so they're
is
not-
another big deal. The
another
old
deal.
ones used
You
to
just clamp
yeah,
onto
yeah.
the side of the tank. These just
Yep.
go right in the tank. You
Yep.
can hide them sideways behind a rock so you don't see any cords or anything
Yep.
like that. This also has all your already pre-measured conditioners. You just pour them into the water just to set the
to get the tank going.
get the tank going, get it up and ready.
Yep.
The only thing that you would add would be your decorations, and there's so many different ways you
Right,
can
we
decorate an
can't- right.
aquarium. But if you buy them with these tanks, we're going to give you 10% off all the decorations to fill it
Yep.
up for you to get you going.
Yep.
So basically, it has everything you need. It's an excellent starter kit. The filters are quiet. The motors are actually in the water, so you don't hear much noise at all.
Yep.
Some of the old tanks just hummed and buzzed,
Yes.
so it's a lot
And
quieter.
then when the top got loose.
Right, rattled zzz, like that. So you don't have any of that. This is actually much, much more streamlined, much easier to use now.
And the light.
Light. This is modern now. Everything is LED lighting now, so they're energy efficient. They don't generate heat. Part of the problem with the older hoods is the light bulbs generated heat, which wreak havoc with the temperature, especially on smaller aquariums.
Yep.
LED, you don't have any heat, so the temperature is going to stay stable just through the heater.
Remember in the old days when you had the incandescent?
Incandescents, yes, they cook your tank.
They would cook your tank,
yeah,
and you get all the
guppies and algae and all that.
Right.
Incandescents
You'd have
are
a fish fry. You'd have company come
Lots
over.
of incandescents are still good if you're growing certain plants, but for the most part, when you're displaying fish, the light output. Also, these guys with fluorescent bulbs, as they get old, if you look up the ceiling, you can see the
they
bulbs.
burn up.
The ends start burning, and that actually changes the light reflection, which starts giving you algae. These give you the same light output for the entire life of the fixture, and that light can go up to 35,000 hours. So 10 years, you're
Yep.
good. You plug it in, you're good for 10 years. You don't have to worry about any lighting issue whatsoever.
Yep.
Changing the filters on these, it's just simple pad that just simply slides out every two to 3 months.
So I have a technical question about that. In the old days, when we changed a filter, we would always leave some of the old filter in to keep the old bacteria in there. So
That is on certain older filters you can, but look at this. There is, on this type of filter, there is actually a little abrasive tray in the front. That's
that
called a
keeps-
wet and dry. That's where you get your good bacteria that surfaces. So you can just pull your old, this is just mechanical and chemical filtration, where the debris piles up and then the carbon actually absorbs any of the hard.
Oh, this is unbelievable.
So it
you
slides
have
out,
to do-
and your bacteria. So all you do is just slide that out.
sit-
You never have to touch
You
that.
never have to touch it.
Right. Just slide your filter pad out. And this is a nice filter because the motor, some of the old filters, the motor would sit outside.
Yeah.
There was a gasket that
This is-
screwed to the bottom of the filter. This one, the motor, it's just like front wheel drive on a car. You're going to get more traction.
Because it's inside.
It's on the inside, so it's pulling the water rather than pushing it. So you're always going to have a true flow of water movement. It's not going to be bogged down. And the other thing, you're not going to have any leaks out of that stupid gasket that hangs on the bottom.
Right.
A lot of times people would empty their tank
Right.
through their filter because the gasket would leak.
Right.
You don't have that because this is all one piece, and that's motor is right
So,
inside.
so let's say someone comes in, it's the $79, whatever it is, for whichever size. We have all different
Yep.
kinds of sizes. So the next question is, I get it home, I put water in it. How long do I keep it, and when can I start buying fish?
I would.
Because that's the most frustrating
That's
part.
the most. Okay, we're going to clear that up right now. Take the tank home. Never really want to buy your fish on the first day when you buy the tank. Take the tank home, set it up, let it run for about 48 hours so that it gets up to temperature and you get your filter cycle starting.
Yep.
Now, when you come back and buy fish, this is the toughest part right here. Don't overload the tank full right away. Start off with maybe 3 or 4 fish. It's going through
what
a
kind of
cycle.
fish?
There's a lot of different types you can do. Tetras, as a rule of thumb, are good.
Yeah. Mollies?
Mollies are fine. I mean, if you want more aggressive stuff, some of the small African cichlids.
Yep.
Start off with maybe 3 or 4 fish.
Yep.
Now, wait about 4 to 6 weeks before you add the second group
That's
in.
the hard part.
That's the hard part. People are going to want to start because what's
Yep.
happening is the ammonia will build up slowly, but the fish in there can tolerate it because it's a very gradual change. And you need those fish in there to create the waste that's part of the cycle.
Yep.
If you put too many fish in there or put it too frequently, your ammonia is going to spike and you're going to have a fish kill.
Yeah, you lose all your
You
fish.
start losing your fish. Now, maintaining your tank, this is the other mistake people make, is they take all the water out at once. They see the tank getting dirty. The first couple of, like the first week or two, your water is always going to get a little cloudy because that's
Yep.
the cycle that's starting. Don't worry about that. Partial water change, 1/3 water change.
Never more than 1/3.
1/3, siphon any debris out of your gravel every week or so.
That's
every
the
week
other
or so.
part is you need to get it, which doesn't come with this, but you need a siphon.
Siphon. Yep.
And when you do the water change, you have to put the
Push it
siphon
through the gravel.
down into the gravel.
And it's very
that's
easy.
where all the waste,
Pull that out of your waste and keep your gravel. If you
but
stir,
never
keep your
more
clean.
than
1/3.
1/3. So
1/3.
you don't change the environment.
And you're not pulling all the good bacteria that you've developed out. Because all you're
Right.
doing if you strip clean the tank is
Right,
you're
then you
restarting
kill the
it.
bacteria that's in the
Right,
that's
right,
in here.
exactly. So Very basic. And that's actually, think of it, that's actually pretty easy. It's about 30 minutes of work every 10 days to 2 weeks.
Right.
So it's very simple. If you just let the tank do its thing, don't overcrowd, and the other thing is don't overfeed. Fish's eyes are the size of their stomach. So once a day, if you have 5 or 6 fish in there, as much as they can eat in about 10 to 15 seconds.
Right. So when you put food in there, those fish should be up looking
They should be begging for it.
the food.
Those fish
when
are
you
begging.
see food floating to the bottom, you've overfed.
You're overfed. If that happens, skip feeding them for 3 or 4 days. And you can also buy some catfish that'll actually pick up any leftover off the bottom.
Yep.
But for the most part, you don't want to have a snowstorm. If you have accumulated food on the tank,
Right.
that's going to cause you a lot of problems. So just be very careful with that. Other than that, maintenance, all this equipment does everything else now. This is the newest one right here. This one even has a light that turns on when it tells you the filter pads are getting dirty.
Get out.
Yep, so if you see that little red light coming on, it means you need to change filter pads.
Oh,
Yep,
how
so it's
cool.
pretty
That's
cool.
unbelievable.
So it does everything for you now. It does everything for you. Like I said.
Wow.
But for the most part, the still basic rules of fish keeping have never really changed. Do your partial water changes, keep your gravel, don't overcrowd, don't
Yep.
overfeed.
Right.
You do that, your tanks will run beautifully.
Right, and it's just great for to get your kids and everybody. And you know what? There's just so many different sizes.
Oh, yeah.
It's just great. All right, so don't go away, folks. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, so we are back, and we are here with our spotless tanks, and I wanted to go over with everyone because I'm positive we have convinced the whole world to get aquariums for Christmas. So Matt, let's go over some starter fish.
Really nice starter fish. So we talked
Yep.
about the tanks there. Now it's time to
Yep.
put some fish in it.
Yep.
Let's start with some really, really, really cool glow danios. Okay, see all these different long, skinny, pastel-y colored ones there?
Yes.
This is probably one of the more hardy, easiest fish that you can keep.
Yep.
It's a great starter fish, very durable. The story with these, you can see how they all different colors, purple, orange, green, red. They are actually crossed with the DNA from jellyfish to get that color. These are not dyed and they're not painted. Originally, they were looking for fish that would glow in polluted waterways so they could test it, and it was
Like
actually
like the canaries in the mines, right?
pretty much, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they came out with these wild colored fish. They came out with these wild color fish that actually glow as the water conditions get dirty. But what they ended up with getting is a really, really, really pretty fish. So that is your glow Daniel. There's also
And so they bred these. So these aren't painted. These
are not painted.
These
are
are not
no
painted.
paint
These
on
are
these.
just.
These are just crossbred with DNA
Yep.
from coral and jellyfish to get those color.
Yeah.
They are actually, like I said, it was done for scientific purposes, and the result, it doesn't hurt the fish in any way. It just changes
Look
their
at
color.
this. Look at the blue.
Same thing with these tetras. This is actually a blue tetra, a white
Yeah.
skirt that's been genetically crossed. And look at the purple one over there. You've got purple,
wow.
you've got pink. There's even tiger barbs. You can see some of the
Yeah.
red tiger
Yeah,
barbs
yeah.
that they've done. Now, look at this beautiful fish right here. Look at this one that's in the plant.
Wow.
These guys are electric blue Jack Dempseys, and this is an interesting story with these guys. You think of Jack Dempsey.
They sort of look like a ram.
It does.
Don't they?
It does. It's a cichlid.
family? Yep.
People think of a Jack Dempsey
As a tough,
as a big, tough, mean
yeah.
fish. This is the recessive gene, and the recessive gene gives you that beautiful, beautiful electric color.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the aggression is
Took out the
curbed away.
aggression?
Took out the aggression, and this is just a natural occurrence where this is the same exact species.
This is so cool.
So it's an odd, really cool. And as you can see, these guys don't fight with each other. And as you can see, they're
right, and they're
very
even. You've got tiny fish.
tiny
They're not-
fish,
they're
and they're
going
not
after-
bothering them at all. These guys are very peaceful. And another very hardy that gets to a nice size. So if you want to have a big, beautiful centerpiece fish
Yep.
for your tank, there you go. The electric blue Jack Dempsey. Look at that color. Look at the markings on him. I was saying before in the first segment, common tetras. These nice, shiny. See how everything sort of builds in the middle with these
Yeah.
diamond tetras?
Yeah.
They're not quite as colorful the other ones, but it gives you that nice sparkle. So you get a nice center flow between all the other fish. So it sort
So
of
when you
fills
buy
in all.
tetras,
School. Keep them in a school.
a school, and
Keep them in a school.
So how many is a school?
I would go at least 4 of them to start. And if you have a bigger tank, every time you buy fish, build a few more until you reach the capacity of your tank. So if you have a 55-gallon tank, 10 or 15 of these.
So, but
swim tightly.
let's say people bought the 20-gallon that we
Right.
just talked about.
4 would be fine. It depends if you just want to have one school of fish.
Yeah, yeah.
1 inch of body per gallon would
Okay.
be your maximum here. But if you wanted a bigger tank, or if you wanted to mix in a few other fish with it, 4 of them, and then maybe do 4 of the glow tetras, maybe
Yep.
2 Dempseys
Yep.
in that tank, and you'd have and maybe a catfish on the bottom.
And all the stores have these.
These are all stocked in all of our stores. This
Yep.
is a regular fish that we carry, bread and butter per se.
Yep.
But beautiful fish. Looking down here,
The Dempseys are just blowing
they're
me
blown.
away.
They will blow you away. They are centerpiece of any tank. Put those in. A lot of people-
How big will that
They
get?
can get about 9 to 10 inches. So if you put them
And
in,
at 9 to 10 inches, they're not like Oscars. They'll
they're pretty. I mean, they may grab a tiny little
Well,
fish, but
right.
like any fish will. But
Right.
as for beating up and attacking other
Yeah, yeah,
fish,
yeah.
no. These guys are actually very placid.
Wow.
Okay, so
Okay.
a lot of people keep these with discus and big angelfish in large
Yep.
show tanks just
Yep.
because of their color and their
Okay.
neat shape. Looking down here, these are the old standby classics. We've got neon tetras.
Yep.
See the bright red and
Yep.
blue?
Yep.
And then we got fancy guppies. See, the guppies are all, no 2 guppies look alike. Just through, there's so many genetic crosses, you're always going to see differences. So if you ever find 2 that look alike, you got twins, which is quite rare. All different colors, great fish. Neon tetra, and there's another
So
fish.
Matt, if you're first starting out, aren't guppies harder to keep when you first start out?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. A lot of people do start. And the fun thing about guppies is kids love them because they're live bearers.
Yeah.
And they give birth to live babies,
Oh.
and they give birth to a lot of them.
So, but do they eat the babies, or how do
If
they?
you have a lot of plant life and hiding spots in your tank, you can
Yeah.
build up a pretty good colony quickly without them
Right.
eating. 25, 30. The problem you're going to have with guppies is what do I do with all these little fish?
You bring 'em
That's
back
where
to
you
the
bring
pet
them back
store.
here.
Right.
So like I said, if you kids are breeding fish and you got
Yeah.
a lot of fish you want to bring them back, and let's talk.
Yeah.
We'll get you something else for them.
So now on these guppies, I remember once in a while we used to get those show guppies. Do we still get those?
Oh yeah,
once in a while?
oh yeah. We get all different shapes and sizes,
Yeah.
breeds, patterns.
But guppies you got to be careful with because other fish will
Right,
nip at their tails.
right. That's the other thing. You want to make sure in a guppy tank you have very placid, peaceful fish.
Yeah.
Like neon tetra, like those little autocats on the bottom. Nothing that's going to tear at those nice long fins on them because that's part of their beauty
will
right there.
swordtails tear?
Swordtails generally are not too bad.
And
With the
mollies?
swordtails and mollies, keep them in a harem, because if you keep a single male in the tank, he might start trying to overmate everybody else. So keep 3 females to 1 male.
That's a new word I haven't heard. Overmate.
Overmate, yeah, it's a good one here. Well, look over here. Look at this
Oh,
little.
speaking of the devil.
Well, let's get to the mollies first. But look at
Okay.
this little red fish in here. Down there we have
that guy, the little
Yep,
guy.
That down there we have neon tetras. This is a cardinal tetra, and if you look at the difference, the red on this guy, his red goes from the nose all the way to the tail.
Shouldn't you have a little church in here?
Yeah, he
Ornament,
Can, yeah,
right?
he can,
Wouldn't that be cool? Though?
he can go and
Cardinal
be a
fish?
cardinal. Yeah, be
Yep.
a cardinal down there. We get another pope fish in there
Yeah.
somewhere.
So everybody, I hope you have a
Wonderful holiday.
wonderful, great Christmas with all your friends and family and all your loved ones.
All right,
Thanks
thank
so
you.
much, folks.
Hey! Yaha! Hi, fellas. What's up?